created you from a single soul, meaning Adam alayhi salam. And from Adam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given creation to his wife for him, and that is Hawa alayhi salam. And from them both, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given creation to multitudes of people. And in the same verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to be fully dutiful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one in whose name we seek our mutual rights and obligations. And Allah tells us to fulfill the duties and responsibilities that we have towards kith and kin. For indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ever watchful over us. Dear brothers and sisters, as you are aware that the people of Quraysh had already believed in some of the teachings of Ibrahim alayhi salam. They believed in Ibrahim being a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they still believed in some of the practices that he brought. But over time, their aqidah, their belief in Allah was corrupted, and they started worshipping other gods and deities besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they also had other practices that were not correct. And some of these practices, or an example of this malpractice that they had engaged in, that the Quran tells us about, is they knew the concept of al-Ashhur al-Hurum, the sacred months that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen for us, in fact, for everyone. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, إِنَّ عِدَّةَ الشُّهُورِ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ 12 شَهْرًا يَوْمَ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Right? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created time to be 12 months. And that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen out of these 12 months, 4 months that were sacred. They are sanctified, in which certain things are not to be done during those times. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلَا تَظْلِمُوا فِيهِنَّ أَنفُسَكُمْ. Do not wrong yourselves in these months. Some scholars understood from this verse that you should not transgress the limits of Allah even more so during these 4 months. We're always supposed to stay away from the boundaries set from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but even more so during these months. And some scholars understood dhulm